Hey everyone, my name is Chris Lambert. On this channel, we talk Kanye West, and today we're talking more Kanye music collaborations, which seems to be all the rage news-wise in 2020 with Kanye. But recently, he's worked with St. John, who's just dropped the album When the World Was Burning, or While the World Was Burning, and he had Kanye on the song Pray For Me, which was a cool song, and then he released as just kind of a random attachment to the album. It's not even on the track list for the album on streaming services. A song called Smack DVD, which to me is my like favorite hip hop song of the year. That's like Wash Us in the Blood would be my favorite, but when we're talking like just more traditional hip hop songs, I think Smack DVD is my favorite, and it has this great Kanye verse. I love what St. John's doing on this track, so great addition, but it's weird that it didn't make the album to me. But you can see here that he was on Ebro's show and said that a collab album between him, Kanye, and BUJU Banton is in the works, but they still have to finish it, which isn't that the story with Kanye albums, right? And Kanye music. But he said Ye wants to executive produce his next solo project, which is something that he talked about in this interview here with Complex and Eric Skelton. He said that Kanye initially called him and was just like, I just finished listening to your record 20 times in a row on a jet. I want to executive produce your album. And St. John wisely said, yo, I appreciate that, but let's just have like a relationship first before we do that. Because, you know, with Kanye and executive producing albums, that we don't know where his attention is going to bounce to next and what his roadmap might be or timeline might be that's acceptable to him, where St. John's like, I want to drop in 6 months. 2 Chainz had a similar thing where Kanye wanted to executive produce 2 Chainz. 2 Chainz is like, let me do this album and then we can do the next album together. So I made a video going over this interview in more detail, but there's one point where he talks about being in Jamaica with Kanye. So you can see here that he went to, and then we went to Jamaica with me, him, and BUJU. Bro, it's iconic. It's fucking incredible. It's me, Kanye West, and BUJU Banton in Jamaica making records. We flew down there in a private jet, yada, yada, yada. And Eric asked, did Pray For Me come out of those sessions at Jamaica? And he said, nope, those are a whole other batch of songs. That's all I'm going to say. So we got the little bit of a teaser there. And this was them in the studio, right? You can see BUJU there, St. John there, Kanye in the middle, and then BUJU there, Kanye there. And they're just kind of hanging out in the studio. And where did I have... I'm getting confused by my tabs. Anyway, we'll just move to the next one. So BUJU, you can see 47 years old, Kingston, Jamaica. Kanye actually has Archer's up. Kanye actually has kind of a recent long history of working with Jamaican artists. It was something that he was doing a lot on Yeezus, which we're going to look at in a second. But BUJU's been in the game for a long time. And just in 2010, it's a decade, man, won Best Reggae Album for Before the Dawn. But you can see he's been nominated 98, 2003, 2006, 2009, 2010, 2020. So definitely kind of a legend in the Jamaican music scene. So being down there, just being able to work with him, I'm sure is something that Kanye was probably very into and that St. John was also very excited about. And here on Yeezus, Kanye actually has reggae artists, like Jamaican artists on I'm a God, I'm in It, Guilt Trip, and Send It Up. Is that right? I think that's right. Yeah, I think that's right. Not on Blood on the Leaves. But that's a lot of like Jamaican representation on this album, and especially on Send It Up, because he samples Beanie Man's Memories. And this is actually a song about a feud that Beanie Man's having with Bounty Killer. And Kanye actually uses the idea of this feud and the culture war that was between them, as Beanie Man was accusing Bounty Killer of kind of selling out to American audiences and forgetting his own culture and trying to be more like a cowboy, be more like a white man. And Kanye kind of brings that up on Send It Up when talking about this idea of like not being yourself and not being true to who you are, and not being true, I guess, to your history and heritage, which is actually a huge subtext on the Yeezus album that doesn't really get talked about enough. Like, people hear the Malcolm X reference on Black Skinhead, right, or the Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X references on I'm In It, and they just think like, oh, Kanye's being clever. But there's actually a ton more depth and meaning to that. When Kanye says, your titties out, or them titties out, like free at last, he's not just making a pun about like Martin Luther King's comments and like a girl's chest being out of the bra, right? He is, but it's supposed to show as a contrast between where he was on Black Skinhead and New Slaves, where he was trying to be so socially conscious and really thought about himself as being a leader in the Black community and wanting to motivate people. I mean, that's Black Skinhead starts with him wanting to motivate people and viewing himself as a leader, and then ends with him. That's it. It starts with him viewing himself as a leader, and it ends with him wanting to motivate people, just kind of looking around and being like, nobody's doing anything. Somebody needs to do something, which is, I am a god. He's just like, yeah, I'm the person. I'm the person that needs to do something. I am a god. And then we get New Slaves, which is him then trying to start this revolution that ultimately fails. And we get Hold My Liquor, which him like backsliding, going into a depression, and all those lofty morals that he had go by the wayside. And that's what makes I'm In It so powerful, is that when he has these civil rights references in this song that are used as metaphors for sex, it's not just like Kanye being irreverent. It's Kanye showing that the character has fallen away from from caring about heritage and caring about history and caring about the culture, and is just putting those things in the context of sex and materialism, which is the whole point of the album, is to point out that society convinces people that all that you need is sex and materialism, and to be a consumer and to be happy with what they give you, and ignore your history and your future. So Kanye uses Jamaican artists on this album to capture a lot of attitude, a lot of pain, a lot of bravado, but also to kind of critique his own behavior in the penultimate song on this journey. I could talk about Yeezus all day and didn't expect or mean to talk about it as much as I did in this video, but it kind of felt good to dust off a little bit of the Yeezus discussion cobwebs here and get into it a little bit. So yeah, then memories, we talked about that a little bit, and here's just a few more articles. You can see that it was in September when Kanye visited the studio and these photos were taken, but this was on the 19th, and then by the 22nd you can see Jamaica wants to know if Kanye broke COVID protocol during visit with Buju, which of course there was controversy with even Kanye going to Jamaica. And then here, just a few weeks ago, and a couple months after that, Buju gifts computers to Jamaican children's homes. And you can see down here, veteran dancehall artist Buju Banton has gifted Jamaican students at 2 children's homes on the island with computer devices needed for online classes. And there was something about, yeah, here. So Friends of Buju Banton Foundation, we thank you. Sunbeam Children's Home gifted laptops for each boy at the facility. Mount Olivet Boys Home received desktop computers and chairs. Thanks Kanye West for contributing to our mission to improve the lives of at-risk boys. So that's really awesome. Like, yeah, just good to see. Good to see. And I guess that does it for this video. We'll be back next time, with more Kanye content. And of course, as there's more information about this album that, I'm pretty skeptical at this point about Kanye albums coming out, but if there is information about this Kanye album coming out, that's the mixture of him, St. John, and Buju, then we'll get into that as we hear more about it, but skeptical. Okay, until next time, stay wavy and keep it loopy. Cheers.